welcome to another episode of Quick Hits brought to you by Rollout Marketing. Man, who do we have here with us today? The one, the only, the man who needs no introduction unless you don't know anything about painting or not part of our industry. His name is Nick Slavik from New Prague, Minnesota. Nick Slavik, Painting and Restoration. Nick, welcome, my friend.
Dude, good to see you again. And looking forward to spending next week with you
Of course,
at the
when this
PCA Expo.
episode airs, it might be long past. So we'll have you back and say how much you did not enjoy spending time with me.
Boy, was that a good time, Brad. Holy cow.
All right, Nick, I brought you on to not talk about painting. I don't want to talk about craftsmanship or building a business. I brought you on to talk about the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. So let's start with your one-line thesis. If I say the PCA is, you say what?
The PCA is a hack, a cheat code, and the biggest competitive advantage you can have if you are in the
I'm glad you
painting
didn't
industry.
just say it's a hack, because I've been called a hack and that has very different meaning.
I definitely
Yeah,
wanted
good.
to finish that sentence, that's for sure.
All right. Well, talk about your experience with the PCA. Why should anyone care about what you have to say on this matter?
Yeah, so I actually did a writing assignment for myself this morning. This will be my 10th expo. That's our big Super Bowl of the industry. And I started being a single owner operator on my first expo. 10 later, we have advanced past that. And personally, professionally, who I am as a human, a craftsperson, a husband, a father, a business owner, there is a direct line between the PCA, the humans there, and all of the things that I've done with my life. So it is, it's not hyperbole to say it's the most meaningful organization in my
So,
life.
it's clearly a passion of yours, and that's it. It's just changed your life.
Yeah,
No big
just
deal.
that. Yeah. No, it's an amazing entity that is a lighthouse and a dog whistle to people like you and me who are a specific type of human who really have this servant leader bent to reach out out of their normal circles and help other humans. And I
And
like that.
you've obviously been very active with the PCA for a few years, been on the board, and you now serve as the chairperson of the board of directors, right? Tell me about that.
Yeah, and that is, oh, dude, that's been crazy. Like, not only, when you look around the board of directors, I likely have the smallest business, the least professionalized business of all the people on the board of directors. And I have to stand up in front of them and propose a strategy for this 140-year-old nonprofit that goes off into the future and guides us in the right way. All of the people are big thinkers. All of them are bigger thinkers. And so I love the challenge of leading from a board of directors because in your business and my business, we can make unilateral decisions at a moment's notice. There's no board of directors. There's nobody to check us. We just do it. This is a completely different
Yeah,
level of leadership, and it really tests you because it's got to be slow and consistent and
yeah.
methodical and right.
That's so, as you know, I was recently appointed to the board of directors myself, and I'm still new in my tenure, but I like to move fast, and it certainly served us well at Ellison Painting, but
Yeah.
I am hoping that I can maintain my enthusiasm while things move slower
Yeah.
slower, and it's got to move slower, right? You can't make huge dramatic changes for thousands of people overnight.
Yeah, if you think about this as an entity, it's a multi-million dollar organization with somewhere between 1,300 and 1,400 benefactors, stakeholders, employees, a crazy leadership team. The board of directors is made up of businesses that have 100, $200 million worth of revenue in there. It is a large piece that has been operating in this industry for 140 years. And if we all did what we did when we were founding and scaling our companies to this thing, that's not what this organization would respond positively to. It's got to be methodical and straightforward. So I think a lot of this board of directors service hits us at a time where it stretches our leadership ability, but it gives all of us a great lesson for our own personal and professional lives about the next step of what's going to be asked of us as leaders as we grow our businesses bigger.
So I know you get asked this all the time, as I do. What are the benefits of being a member of the PCA? Why should someone join?
There is a monstrous list that I have memorized of tactical benefits, including health insurance, painter's training, business training. But the problem is, if I were to list out 27 of those to somebody, I don't necessarily think if that's the thing that gets you in, I don't think you're really looking for the right thing. All of that said, in the end, it's the humans. And not only will it take you from one person to as many people as you want, it'll teach you how to be a good citizen, a human, a father, a husband, a craftsman, an entrepreneur. It'll also give you those opportunities to serve your community. And honestly, it is literally like my thesis. All of the greatest minds in our industry are located here, and they'll give willingful of themselves. And anything you ever need, you contact them, and that is the benefit there. So going to the things, getting the standards, going through all the trainings, fine. If you don't interact with any of the humans, you haven't begun to express the benefits
For
of your
sure.
membership.
Yeah, and I've experienced that because my life, my literal life, changed once I met you and Jason Paris. Was fortunate to be invited to your winter retreat, and that was 3 years ago now, I guess. Yeah, not that
Yeah,
long
not that
ago.
long
Yeah.
ago.
And it was, man, a total paradigm shift for me, not only in relation to what my business could be, but who I should be as a leader and a servant to the people that work with me. Yeah, I mean the resources are good. The painter training is good. The business training is good. The business accelerator courses have helped a ton of people. But I concur that it's the relationships that you make. And if maybe I would have stumbled upon some people like you and Jason in the industry, but if it wasn't for the PCA already having connected you to Jason, to the Kuipers, to everyone else, that journey would have
Yeah.
been much longer for me. And now here I am 3 years later and got a
Oh,
$5 million a year painting company, right?
yeah. Just like that, with the help of all the humans around you and a whole bunch
Yep.
of grit and hard work. So it's an
Are there any
amazing thing.
downsides to being a member of the PCA?
Yeah. Oh, there's numerous. Number one, you're going to get gapped
Mhm.
and you're going to be humble. Like that is, you know, honestly, that's like that interview question. What's your biggest weakness?
Yeah.
I work too hard and love too much. The downside is this. There is no real, it's not going to hurt your life. It is going to put you in a place where you question everything you've ever known and your focus and mission in life. And getting gapped, just like my first expo, the first two people I ever met in this industry were Dave Scaturo and Gina Court. They run 20 to 30 million dollar industrial multi-state companies, and I showed up with oil primer on my hands. You want to talk about getting gapped? I had a crisis of faith in the best possible way you could after meeting those humans, which is now I know what I need to do. I'm inspired. I don't know if I can do that, but I'm headed in that direction. And you're going to have a crisis of faith. What you choose
Dude,
to
I
do
got to
with
share
it
the
is up to
story.
you.
Maybe I shared it with you before, but it's one of my favorites. So our mutual friend, Jamie Burkhardt, had reached out to me about 3.5 years ago. We had connected on Facebook, and he wanted to put together like a mini mastermind group of painting contractors just to chit chat. So, and we didn't know if whether it was going to be a regular thing, like weekly, monthly, maybe just one off. And so he invited me and a couple other guys, and it was all right. Let's start. Let's just go around. Maybe share a little background. And this is when I was running that other company, like the company I was running when you met me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm an Enneagram 8, so I can't stand a break in a conversation. So I'm always the first one to just say, "All right, I'll do it. I'll go first. That's fine." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm Brad Ellison. I run this company in Metro Detroit. We're gonna do about $2.5 million this year. It's really, nice sized company, really successful." And I thought that $2.5 million was the peak of residential painting in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a seat, everybody. You're talking to a
Yeah.
millionaire here.
And then the next guy chimes in. "Hey, I'm Jason Paris. I formed Paris Painting up in Minneapolis. I think our residential business this year is going to do $8 or $9 million." And I go, "Oh, okay." I felt really stupid. And then the next guy chimes in. He says, "Hi, my name is Jason Phillips from Phillips Home Improvement. I think we're going to do $14 million this year." And I was like, "Holy smokes!" And that was the first moment where I really realized the opportunity in the industry. And like Jason Paris, Jason Phillips, why were they so willing to get on some stinking Zoom call with me and Jamie Burkhardt, who we're no one, still are, It's because they believe in the mission of professionalizing the industry and giving back, right? So
Yep.
that you can say it's a
Yep.
downside to get gapped, but for me to get gapped in that moment was exactly what I needed. Oh gosh, what an amazing experience.
For the right person, it's great, but I'm going to be very honest with you. There's been some expos where I've been at where there's been some people I've known from the industry. They sit through a talk and I can see their face turn white, and then they don't show up to
Mm.
the rest of the expo. Now, this only happened a few times that I've witnessed. I've seen some people go back home and decide to get out of this industry after that. And now I don't even think that's bad. I think that accelerated their decision making on that stuff. But what a great thing to know. It better to know than to just toil for 10 years and this and that. So again, I think the PCA is full of people who love getting gapped, and will certainly call out the ones who don't or support them in
Any
whatever
other
they want to do.
downsides?
I mean, there is quite a bit of raging parties at these events, and a person can get very enthusiastic at these things, and especially, I'm new to the industry, I'm new to the PCA, I'm new to the expo, there's 1,000 of these people here, Sherwin and Benjamin Moore have free brown liquor flowing all night, all the food I can eat, there's music, there's friends. Temper yourself, my friends. There's plenty to go around, and you don't need to go crazy. So it's moderation,
See,
things
the other
like
thing
that.
is if you join the PCA, there's a certain level of accountability at that point. There's now, guess what? The PCA has
Absolutely.
standards of how you should paint and how you should run a business. And if you're gonna carry that proud member of the PCA, you better be ready to step your game up and follow through on those standards.
Yep. And interestingly enough, you've been introduced to our policies and bylaws, and there's actually a written code of ethics
Mhm.
for all members. And I doubt everybody, like our iPhone agreement, I doubt
Sure.
everyone has read every one of them, but it's one of those things. Now that I was in the PCA, there's a difference between like coaches and mentors. Coaches is somebody you pay to do some stuff for you. A mentor, I believe, is somebody who, if you let them down, you'd be super sad. The PCA and all the members have gone past like just other members. If I let the people in the PCA down, I would be super sad because I think they would think less of me. And that's a great accountability system.
What types of events does the PCA put on?
Yeah. So I I proposed a strategy a couple years ago, to capitalize on the enthusiasm and love of in-person events. Right, we've been dabbling with some events. We've had some great success. We just organized them. There's 4 ancillary events, and then our big Super Bowl, the Expo, Women in Paint, Spanish, Residential, and Commercial. There are definitely other offshoots. We have a craftsmanship forum and things like that, but we concentrated our effort into that. And with Women in Paint, Spanish, Commercial, and Residential, we've created a whole other expo. We get about 1,000, 1,200 people at Expo. We get about 1,000, 1,200 people at these other ancillary events, different locations, different focuses, especially with the Spanish. It's in a different language. And so it just attracts a different demo, and it lets people connect in a different way. I wrote about this morning in my one-page weekly, but there's a difference between a connection, an acquaintance, and a friend. And we started off as a connection on Facebook, right? All of a sudden we started chatting. We started actually talking about marketing. I was walking around my farm on the phone when we were talking about marketing strategies to
Yeah,
grow our
you
businesses
shared
fast.
some really
And then
insightful information on direct mail, which we had never tried before.
absolutely. And then we met in person,
Mhm.
and then we became friends. So that pipeline of connection to acquaintance to friend can only be done with the PCA and in person. So these events, they have changed my life. And this isn't, hey, let's get some more humans together and drive some more revenue and drive some more influence for the PCA. This is like, if we can get 200 people together, Spanish speakers in Texas, those are potentially 200 lives that are changed, and every one of those humans are worth
Are
fighting
there
for.
any opportunities to connect in person besides traveling cross country for one of these big events?
Oh, absolutely. So, you were one of the people who were really impactful with
Mhm.
spreading the gathering group sort of thing. Jason and I started the first one ever here about 5, 6, 7 years ago, Gathering of Minnesota Painters. You and Brandon Pierpont took that under your wing and spread to about 27, probably nearly 30 different gathering groups across the United States. So, one example is Minnesota, hyper local. We meet 4 times a year. We get together with 100 different contractors, from Minnesota, hyper local at all of these facilities. So there are hyper local events, 27 groups meeting 4 times a year. That's 100 potential events all over the country that are going
Brilliant.
on
Yeah,
outside of this.
I've had a lot of fun with the Gathering of Michigan Painters. I mean, we just copied what you guys did.
Yeah.
I think we have like 600 members maybe now. Uh, and we do. So we meet in person 3 times a year, and then the fourth time we encourage everyone to go to Expo. And I'm looking forward. We're gonna have a
Oh,
huge
nice.
Michigan contingent this year. Um, the
Probably not bigger than
I'm
Minnesota, but
waiting
it'll
for the
probably be
report
good,
back
right?
from Jill and Jessica to see how close it is. I wasn't gonna bring it up unless I knew we were
Oh, but
winning.
we have a member list, so this will be
We
solved with
will we
data,
will
not
solve it.
feelings. So
How many members are there in the PCA?
yeah, so we crossed the 1,300 mark this year. We're
Okay.
approaching 1,400. So and I should also mention numbers matter based on trend lines too. In the last 2 years, we have never seen an increase in members like we have. It's been 30 years since we've seen any amount of this increase of members, and it's due to all the servant leaders
So
out there
that's all
getting
good.
stuff
And
done.
being kind of on the inside, I understand like how big those numbers are. But there are something crazy like 300,000 painting companies in the US. Why do we only have 13 or 1400 members?
Perspective. You could say that we are complete failures for only touching a
Hmm.
fraction of 1%. I would always say compared to what? There general contractors in the US, there are 745,000. And the largest general contractors trade group, the Association of General Contractors, they're the big boys. They've been around for 100 years, nonprofit, things like that. They got 6,500 members. That's 0.8 of 1% of that. If we had the equivalent amount of painters as they do, we'd have 2,400 members, which I would argue in the next 5 years, we are absolutely on track with that trend line. So you and I share the same thing. What I believe is behind that question is why the hell don't more people do this? I agree. I would say that we went through a complete renovation of the PCA. We changed the name, we changed the brand, we changed the board of directors, we changed the executive director, we changed all the staff, we changed the mission, we changed the education, and that's been the last 8 years. And now we get to actually put some traction to the ground and get moving. And the membership is actually following that along. We didn't know what would happen this soon. The membership is on a trend line uh, up and to the right
Yeah, there's
sooner
this
than we
always
thought.
this interesting dichotomy when it comes to like the professionalization of the industry and painters. You would know about this better than I because you've been in the industry for much longer. Was used to be
Yeah,
very combative, competitive, certainly not collaborative.
probably
Probably
still
is,
is.
but we're seeing a change in that, right? And I think that's what's stirring the increase in membership in the PCA because before it's like if I start a painting company and I find the secret and the PCA has changed my business and changed my life, why would I want to tell all the other painters in the area about it? Because I want to take advantage of being the only one, right? But guys like you and me
Yeah,
and many of our friends understand that competition happens at the bottom, collaboration happens at the top. I love the term that you and Jason use, cooperation. And I practice that here
competition.
locally with guys like Nick Kelly, who's he is a direct competitor of mine. We bid on the same jobs, but
Yeah,
he's also,
Jason's a
yeah,
direct
but
competitor
he's
of
a
mine.
great friend. And I would much rather bid against Nick Kelly and Elite Paint than some friggin' chuck in the truck. And so I want to get the word out. I want
Absolutely.
every painter in Michigan to be a member of the PCA because if we're all doing better, we all do better. We can all charge more, and the people that really are unprofessionalized and way behind in the game, they become an afterthought, right? So,
Yep. We need a critical mass of professionals so that the majority of estimates a homeowner can get will be professionalized. Because right now, 1 out of 10 or half of zero point 0.5 of 10 estimates are actually maybe a professional estimate. So
yep,
we seem like the outlier. If 6 out of 10 are professional, all of a sudden that guy who says you buy the paint for me and pay me cash and be like, oh,
yeah,
I feel uncomfortable
love
here.
it.
So
What's next for the PCA in the coming years? What do you think we can expect?
yeah, so there's sexy things and unsexy things. The sexy things are continuing to put the pedal down on these in-person events and just rocking them through the moon. The unsexy things are all the stuff that you and me are going to do on the board of directors. All this kind of like, I don't want to call it drudgery, but it's a lot of like, we have massive investments, millions of dollars worth of money invested into the best education in the industry, in almost every home service industry. Now we need to get serious. The next big initiative we're going to do is an education alignment initiative where we take a multi-year approach to taking all the resources in the industry and aligning them. So just like marketing, we could mass market or we could hyper focus, and every marketing dollar could actually earn us more. What we want to do is every education dollar and every education hour needs to be more focused, and it needs to have a through line, and it needs to be for everybody in the industry, even our employees, leadership teams, entrepreneurs, single owner operators. We need to discover where the gaps are. We need to fill them, and we need to make this even more robust than it is now. So there's going to be many things behind the scenes over the next bunch of years nobody will see. The outward expression of this will be, if you thought the education couldn't get any better, hold my beer.
Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to help develop it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be a huge part of it. Listen, I got one more year of eligibility, then I'm going to sit back and be the right hand to whoever's the next chair. You got to do all the heavy lifting over the next couple of years. So.
Got it. All right. So one of the things we like to do on the show, Nick, is I want to leave my listeners with a takeaway, something that they can do today. So what is one thing that our listeners should do today in light of this conversation?
Go to the PCA website, look up our events. All of 2025 events will be posted this next week or
whenever this airs.
Last week. And I dare you, personal and professional dare, sign up for one event this year. Find your gathering group, find one of these big things, women, Spanish, residential, commercial. Just go to one of these events. And if you don't feel that your life has changed, I'll give you my email address. You personally email me and I got questions for you. So personal and professional dare. You will spend $2,800 on a sprayer and sit there and pose with it and take a picture and put it on social media about how proud you were to spend to get this toy. It's going to cost you $1,000 to go to Expo to get in for a ticket. That is, you can't buy a sprayer, a good sprayer for that. This is going to be the best investment you could ever do in your life. Show up to an in-person event.
Nick, thanks for joining me. Appreciate you, and I appreciate our friendship. And I will either see you at Expo or it was great to see you there.
Oh my God, can you believe what Jason Paris did last week at Expo? Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.